Okay, right. We're going to start endogenizing growth. We're trying to explain what is driving that growth in AL. Okay. And I'm on page 25 of the slides. And I'm just going to take you through an incredibly simple model. Okay, so I'm not sure I've ever tried to draw this model before. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so you've got an economy with one person per machine. So that's my symbol for a machine. Okay. Machines last for 10 years. In the year 2000, there's 100 people, so this represents 100 people, and there's 100 machines. 80 people, each with a machine, work on the production of consumer goods. So, and then 20 people work on the production of next generation machines. So proportionally, we've got 80% working on consumption goods and 20% working on the next generation of machines. Okay, since we're doing pictures, why don't we do a picture? I need colour pens. It's supposed to be a hot dog. Of course, you all knew that already. I don't know why I bothered to tell you that. It's pretty obvious it's a hot dog, isn't it? Anyway, so 80 people are making hot dogs, 20 people are making new machines, and guess what? After 10 years, 100 new machines are ready, and they're 20% better than the old ones. The period 1 wage is 100 crowns per period. The interest rate per period of 10 years is 100%. Wow. Okay, so we've got 100 crowns per period. We've got 100% interest per period. What is GDP in period 1? What's the labour share and what's the capital share? Wow, that's kind of tricky, isn't it? I'm going to stop this and have a think what I want to tell you about this and what I want to shift onto the Zoom session. Okay, so I'm going to take you through this. I'm not going to put it into the questions. It's actually super tricky, this. It's super tricky to get your head around. So the wage is 100 crowns per period and there's 100 people. So GDP must be 100 times 100, mustn't it? It's 10,000 crowns per year, okay? Because, oh no, wait. No, that's too simple. Oh god, this is tricky. That's wage payments, but then there's payments on capital as well. So that's not GDP. Because we need the capital payments. Okay, so what are capital payments? Well, now I'm going to pause this again. I've got to think through how I'm going to explain this. Okay, just had to think through this. It's a while since I've done this model. I made it up myself, so I should be able to solve it. But it's a while since I've done it. It's actually quite subtle. So we need two relationships here. One is Y is C plus I. Okay? GDP is consumption plus investment. Plus net exports is what you maybe remember learning, but of course this is a closed economy. The other one is that Y, so let's call the current period period 1, yeah? So Y in period 1 is C1 plus I1. The other one we have is that Y1 is WK1 K1 plus WL1 L1. Okay, this is the other way of defining, the other main way of defining GDP. It's the total payments to your input factors, yeah, capital and labour. Okay, but we also know that Y2 is 1.2, oh, I should have a dot there for English, whatever, 1.2 times Y1, yeah, let's do a dot. I think we're told that, right? That everything's 20% more productive in the second period. Okay, and we know that the interest rate is 100%. Okay, so, where does this get us? So, here, this one, what is the relationship between C and I? Think about that. Pause the video. So, C is 80% of Y and I is 20%, yeah? 80% of productive effort goes into consumption goods, 20% goes into investment goods. So, C1 is 0.8 Y1, I1 is 0.2 Y1. Okay, so that's one result we've got from these equations and from understanding what's going on in the economy. What else can we say? Well, we can say that I've forgotten as well. I've lost it again now. So yeah. So these machines here, they cost 0.2 Y1 to make. Okay. That was the investment in making them. But then you want 100% return on that investment in the following period when these ones are actually going to be used. The investors want double their money. Yep. So they've invested this, and then the following period they want to get back double. So the total cost of hiring these new machines in the next period must be this. And what's that? That is WK2 K2. So WK2 K2 is 0.4 Y1. But everything's grown by a factor of 1.2. So that means that WK1 K1 must be 0.4 Y1 divided by 1.2, because now we're going back a period, yeah? Which is I'm back there again, 0.33, or 1/3 this is, Y1. So payments to capital make up 1/3 of production, which means payments to labour make up the other third. WL1 L1 equals, the other 2/3, and I'm back with commas, 0.67 Y1. But we know what payments to labour are. They're 10,000 crowns a year. Payments to capital are half of that. So payments to capital must be 5,000 crowns a year. This is so amazing when you actually get your head around it. I hope you agree. So GDP is 15,000 crowns a year, of which 33% is payments to capital and 67% is payments to labour, and of which 20% is investment and 80% is consumption. Okay. It's kind of cool because that fits, like, this is Sweden. Okay. This is like an incredibly simple vintage model of Sweden. That we are replacing all our capital stocks with better capital every 10 years with an interest rate of 100% every 10 years, which would be about sort of 6% a year or something. And we're growing at 20% every 10 years, which would be a bit less than 2% a year. So it's not, and then we have these proportions: investment, consumption, returns to labour, returns to capital. It's not a million miles away from what we actually see. Depreciation, replacement of capital, is also not a million miles away. Okay, it depends, of course, which sector you're in. If you're in the nuclear power sector, this depreciation rate of replacing everything every 10 years is way too high. But if we're in the mobile phone sector or something, it's too low. Yeah. There's these high-tech sectors you like throwing everything out and starting again every third or fourth or fifth year. Maybe. I'm not an expert, but definitely quicker than 10 years. Okay, that's kind of cool. So that gives you an idea, a picture of the growth process as it really works. Incredibly simplified, but still it's capturing some essential features. How we are replacing capital over time with more productive, better versions of the old capital, and that's what drives this growth process. And of course, not in this model, but where do these new, better machines come from? We need a research sector as well, of course, in reality. Kind of cool. I like that model. Okay, but as I said, we need a research sector. How do we model that? I'm wondering whether to do a new video. I don't think I will. I'm going to stick this on the same video. It's such a hassle dealing with these short videos. So I'm going to pause this, clean the board, and think about what I'm going to say about endogenous growth. Okay, so a few words about endogenous growth. Slide 28. So I think we've seen this before, haven't we? ALT plus 1 is equal to ALT times 1 minus delta depreciation plus zeta times omega LT to the phi. A lot of Greek letters. Where shall I write those? Oh. Delta zeta capital omega phi. Okay, so we had this before, and this was exogenous growth, wasn't it? Or effectively, we just said, look, as labour grows up, the growth rate of knowledge or productivity goes up. How could we make this endogenous? So the classic problem was when you start with a solo kind of framework with perfect competition, the firms are selling their products in competitive markets. When they pay for labour and capital, there's nothing left over for them to pay for researchers with. So it's like, how could you ever afford to do any research when you have to pay for labour and capital, and that's costing you all your income? Well, the answer is you must have some market power. Okay, in reality, all firms have at least a little bit of market power. And how do they get market power, or how do you get more market power? You get it by investing in productivity, which gives you new products or better products or cheaper production processes than your competitors, which boosts your market power. Okay, so this is the basic idea of endogenous growth models. Pretty much all endogenous growth models. You give firms some market power, which gives them the ability to invest in research and the incentive to invest. So what do we have here? We have, this is like the research sector, production sector, and labor is sort of split between them. And then all these different the product comes out and goes back. But what I'm trying to show in the diagram is that there's not just one product and one sector. There's loads of different firms with slightly different products competing with each other. So labor is spread across these different firms. There's different researchers associated with each different firm. Okay. So the Y is subscript I is for a particular firm. So what have we got? We've got ALI, LYI, and we've got LYI coming in here, production labor, and here we have LAI, I guess, I can't even see, yeah. So this is research labor for firm I. And then to the extent that this research labor comes up with anything, that's feeding into here. Okay. And then we can have this kind of thing going on for the individual firm. Yeah. But the individual firm's knowledge, ALIT+1, is actually building, in these kinds of models, it's building on general knowledge from the previous period. Yeah. So all the knowledge is out there. When the patents have run out, so to speak, if a period is sort of 20 years or whatever, 15 years or something, the length of the patent is valid for, and then come the next period, it's free for all. So you're building on all the existing knowledge in this way, and this is using your own in-house research. Okay. Why would you do this? It's because you have some market power. Total GDP, which is based on all of these, it's not just the sum, okay, it's an integral across all the firms. So we've got a kind of a continuum of firms, and we say it's yi to the eta the I to the 1 over eta. So this is a classic production function. It's called the Dixit-Stiglitz preferences. I don't think I'm going to take you through. I'm trying to decide what to take you through here, because we're not going to use that. We're not going to do this much in the course, but I do want you to have a basic understanding of what's going on. So the point here is, if eta was 1, then we'd have y is effectively the sum of the small y's linearly. So then we'd have no love of variety, no market power, no investment in research. But when eta is less than 1, then the consumers then have a love of variety. They want to spread their consumption across all the products. And if a firm reduces its production of a given product, of its product, the price of that product will go up compared to the other products. So firms have an incentive to hold back their production and try to make more profits. And that profit then gives them the ability to invest in the next period. And if they don't invest, then someone else will, they will be outcompeted and they won't have a market. Okay. So you have to invest to stay up with the competition to keep your market. Okay. So in Nash equilibrium, there'll be one investor per product line, and everyone will invest the same amount in each of their product lines. Okay. And it turns out that given this famous Dixit-Stiglitz function, that marginal revenue is eta pi, where pi is the price. So if you sell an extra unit, you don't get pi extra income, you get eta pi, where eta is less than 1, remember. So what's the single firm's Lagrangian? So let's just, it's not that hard, but I'm not going to go through it, how you get this. Let's have a quick look at a single firm's Lagrangian. So L is yi, or is pi yi plus or sorry, maybe I should have prepared this better. I couldn't really decide whether to go through this or not, but it's plus lambda I. If we say this is for t, pit yit plus lambda it times alit this is the restriction, yeah, let's put one of those brackets on, minus al, no I, t minus 1 minus delta plus zeta omega li t minus 1 to the phi. Okay, so this is revenue in period t. This is, and yit depends on alit, doesn't it? But to get alit, you have to invest in research here. And then, of course, we also have the input costs. The only input is labor, so it's minus WL YI WL times LYI plus L AI. Okay. So then, I'm not going to take you through this, but this is the firm's problem, and we can take first order conditions in LYI and LAI. Oh, sorry, yeah, this should have been an LAI, shouldn't it? Yeah, I'm cutting a few corners here, so don't worry too much. But we can basically take first order conditions in the firm's choice variables, which are LYI and LAI, and then that will determine YI. We'll need to take account of marginal revenue and so on, and we can then solve for the firm's optimal investment in labor and their optimal investment, their optimal production rate, given the choices of the other firms, and then we can put it all together and find a Nash equilibrium. Okay. Did that really give us anything? Oh, I'm not sure. It's always a dilemma, this. It's like, how do you explain this stuff without spending hours and hours on it? I think I'm going to leave it there, and then maybe we'll come back to it. We'll talk about it more. So I'm going to go on to the final slide, 30 out of 30. Basically, we can take an exogenous growth model in which workers devote a fixed proportion of their time to research for no obvious reason and turn it into an endogenous growth model in which time spent on research is the result of competing firms solving optimization problems. For our purposes, the key use of the endogenous model will be in later chapters when we wish to analyze how firms choose between investment in alternative types of technology, such as clean and dirty. Okay, and when we do that, then we will be slowing right down and really going into how we do this. But we won't be looking at the overall level of research. We'll be taking kind of the overall context as given and just focusing very specifically on this choice between which types of research to do. So then it's not as complicated, which is why I'm not taking you through this now. Okay, I think, yeah, that's me done for now on growth. In industrial growth, wasn't it? Basically, solo model, a quick look at a vintage model, and a super quick look at an endogenous growth model. Okay, bye.